So the first thing I'd just like to focus on is the importance of teacher training. Somebody asked us earlier, I think it was Maria Caulfield, the MP, who said what was the one thing that we could do to really change things, and it's about training, training, training. For those of you who were here 2 years ago when we did our Fish in the Tree report, it told us that over half of teachers had had no training on dyslexia, that affects about 3 children in every class in this country, and yet 84% of teachers told us that they thought it was important to have this training. Remember that the strategies used work for those who struggle with reading and writing, whatever the issue. It's all about good quality first teaching. I'd just also like to say that I massively support the teachers in this country. I know how hard they work. I know teachers who do 80 hours a week to carry out the work that they do with a real passion. And so my entire focus is on supporting them, and that's why our Drive for Literacy programme has resources that are easy for teachers to access and use. So training continues to be of the utmost importance, both at the initial teacher training stage and for continuing professional development. And I urge those at the National College of Teaching and Leadership and the Teaching Schools Council, when they're developing and delivering teacher training, to ensure that teachers understand SEND issues, that they know how to help in the classroom, and most importantly, they know when they need to signpost for more specialist help. The second thing I'd like to highlight is I was delighted to see recently a Department for Education spokesman say that the government is committed to tackling educational inequality. Now, this was said in relation to disadvantaged pupils in England about pupil premium and closing the gap between rich and poor pupils. What we would like to see is the same focus now on those on SEND, with SEND funding ring-fenced, with governors taking note of its expenditure and Ofsted reviewing its impact. And finally, and I apologise that this isn't in the report, but
Came in afterwards, to be fair.
it came in afterwards, and it shows how other changes have an unexpected impact on children with SEND. I want to raise publicly the intended new assessment objectives in the new GCSE English language exam. In the past, those pupils using scribes or word processors lost 5% of marks which were awarded for spelling, punctuation and grammar. Now, I have some understanding of this in relation to the use of grammar and punctuation, but I find it inequitable to test something that dyslexic people are fundamentally unable to do, which is spell. It's like asking a blind person to try very hard to see, or a person in a wheelchair trying very hard to run. The new assessments will now take 20% of marks into account in relation to spelling, punctuation and grammar, meaning that those students who use scribes, my son for one, and word processors will lose the full 20% of the marks unless they insert grammar, punctuation and spell every word as they go. It is hard to match the aims of the Act in relation to those with SEND with this new development. Talk about educational inequality. Finally, a few thanks. I'd like to thank Loic Menzies and his team who wrote the report, Elena Bernardes, who sadly cannot be with us today, Bart Shaw and Dr. Sam Bars. I'd like to thank Anita Cohen-Nye at Not Dead Fish for her invaluable advice and continued support and wisdom. 10:30 last night, holding my hand and coaching me at the thought of being on the radio this morning. And I'd like to end by saying it falls on all of us, whether we are politicians, sector organisations, heads, teachers, SENCOs, parents, or passers-by, to take account of those who have a special educational need or disability. It's the right thing to do. It makes us better people, and it makes our society a better place to live. Thank you.